Hey folks, this is Jason Lewis, the producer of the From the Shadows podcast. I just want to remind you about our website, FromTheShadowsPodcast.com. We have a Facebook page. We would appreciate it if you like and follow. Also, join our discussion group on Facebook called After the Shadows. We have a Twitter feed. Please follow us on Twitter. It can be found with @podcast_from. Follow us on Instagram at From the Shadows Podcast. We have a YouTube channel. Go to the search bar at YouTube and put From the Shadows Podcast, and please subscribe to that channel. We are also on the Odyssey Radio Network, and we can be found there at odyssey1.com. We're still on the traditional podcatchers that everybody loves to listen to us on. We get a lot of feedback, so please rate the podcast and communicate with whether you're on Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, or Google Podcasts. We're there, and we appreciate it when you leave comments for us. We also have a Patreon page. It can be found at www.patreon.com/FromTheShadows. You can receive books, stickers, coffee mugs, and special content just for our Patreon subscribers. Check it out for yourself and see what packages that we have to offer. Well, that's all I have for you right now, folks, and thanks for being a part of the From the Shadows podcast family. So with that being said, let's get this episode started.
So Howler. So last week we got on bankers, and you reminded me of a loan story that my stepdad told me about. You want to hear this one? I think you'll appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, I love talking about bank. Bankers are like, dare I say, girlfriends, right?
You can say whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, they're worth their weight. They're like a girlfriend. A good banker's worth his weight in gold, right? His or her weight in gold. You know what I mean? And they will do everything that you could ever dream and give you access to things that you never thought maybe you needed, right?
It's a great analogy. Yeah.
But when things go wrong, they're batshit crazy, just like a girlfriend too. So, you know what I mean? And bankers are like girlfriends too, right? Because you're talking to one banker and he's as conservative as you can be. You got to have 20% down. You got to have this. You got to have that. Maybe I don't want to do that because, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Right? Just like that conservative girl. Maybe I don't want to do that because you don't have enough collateral. And then you got the ones that's good old boys that just, hey,
whatever you want.
Sign on the dotted line, brother. Thanks. Tell everybody to come by and see me, And I used to think they were so good until I realized they get a percentage. A good banker gets a percentage off his portfolio every year. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So he's getting a percent of everything. He's not your friend. He's just taking your freaking money. So anyway, go ahead and tell me yours.
So my parents are fairly good sized farmers, and they have a
means
small.
They're dirt poor. Hey, means they're dirt poor, living hand to mouth. I know how farmers are.
Yeah, mm-hmm. yeah, they are. They're dirt poor.
Yeah, big row crop farmers. It's all they can do to buy that, pay for lease them 3 or 4 combines every year and 10 18-wheelers or whatever. I know exactly how they are.
Yeah, it's only 2 combines and 5 18-wheelers. But anyway.
Yeah, that's how tough times are. Back in the good old days, they had 10 trucks. Now they only have 5.
Well, listen, it doesn't take as much now to farm 2,000 acres as it did back then. So anyway, so my stepdad tells a story. So every year, the bank, which in our town was a locally owned bank, which was started by, or I should say, was owned by a guy who was actually my mom's parents' neighbors in town. When they sold their farm, they sold their dairy farm in the early 70s. They moved into town in this little subdivision, and this guy that owned the bank lived right across from him. Real super nice guy or whatever. But by this time, in the 90s or early 2000s, whenever this was, he really didn't do the stuff at the bank. He just had an office where he went in and, hung out every day. But his son, one of his sons, was an active participant in the bank. Although I believe that the people that really did the bank work didn't want him to do very much, if that makes
Right.
sense. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
he just I'm familiar
Like
with that.
like the
Very familiar
like
with
the
that. Where
like the
we've got to find the
fathers.
son a job, so
Yeah.
we bring him into the family business and
Yeah.
hope he doesn't mess something up too bad.
But the real people that did the real bankers, you know,
Yep.
they really did. So my stepdad goes in. He needs to buy a new semi. Okay. And he's talking with the son, and the son's like, yeah, okay, you know, we'll write you, you know, what do you need? Here's, you know, this is, you know, here you go, take it. Wrote up the loan. Um, my stepdad, the money's in his, you know, gets his money, goes out and buys a semi. First month goes by, he doesn't get a payment due, or doesn't get a payment book or whatever. And he
Right.
thinks it's 2 months goes by, no payment due, you know, he doesn't get it, you know, and he's like, what the heck is going on? My mom is a bookkeeper by trade, and
Okay.
so she really runs a tight ship on the farm and the trucking business. And she's like, well, this is weird, you know, we haven't got this bill. So I don't know how many months, but it's at least 6-9 months go by, and he never gets a bill to start paying this loan that was at least six, you know, it was over six figures for the semi. And so every spring, when the farmers have to get an operating loan, so they
Sure.
have to, you know, borrow however
Yeah, I
many
know how it
hundred
works. Yeah.
thousands.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
this bank every year would have to come out and okay, you got this grain, you know, you got this
Oh yeah,
grain
come out
set
and
up.
count your cows or see your operation to make sure you're good for it.
Yeah.
Make sure you got some collateral.
So that's when they figured out, well, where did you get this extra semi from? You know, where did you get that? And he's like, well, boys,
You loaned me the money.
you loaned me the money. And they're like, we have no record of this. And he goes, well, that makes sense because I ain't made a payment on it. And here the son wrote up that loan paper and put it in his desk drawer. Never gave it to anybody, never filed it with the loan department. He put it in his desk drawer, and he had retired shortly thereafter and officially quit coming to the bank. And they went into his office then because nobody had found this loan paperwork in the desk drawer, just sitting there. If he hadn't retired, they may never have figured out. I mean, it might have been.
Oh, they'll figure it out. Their bank. They'll figure it out, and it's your fault that you didn't pay them. You know, hey, at least now that's not where I thought this story was going to go. At least they give him the money. You know, there's a.
Yeah, they
I gotta
just.
watch it. Huh?
Yeah, I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know. How, I mean, they gave him. I don't know how they gave him.
Hey, I'm gonna choose my words on this bank story I'm gonna tell here because I got a dozen bank stories. But there's a professional ball player from my hometown. And there's so few of them. I'm not gonna say what sport he plays because it'd be pretty easy. You know, there's only 2 or 3 professional players from my hometown. But
Okay.
this particular guy owns about 1,200 acres and has got a pile of money in this little down home bank, like you're talking about. And
Yeah.
his uncle wanted to buy a little in imagine wanting to buy an old building in this little old 2,000 person town that the main highway runs right in front of. And it'd come up for sale. I don't remember how they found out it was for sale. So it'd be like your uncle coming to you and saying, "Hey, let's buy this old block of." I think it might have been a couple of them in a row. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But there was something inviting about it, and they were like, "Well, what are we going to do with it?" And he said, "I don't know, but I got an in on this deal. No realtors. We can buy this set of buildings, and it'll do nothing but go up in value." And he said, "You know, I don't know if I want to be on the hook for the whole thing." So the ball player said, "That's fine. You know what we'll do? We'll form an LLC, and we'll just go down and borrow the money on that building, and it'll stand alone. You know what I mean? It's proceeds and everything. You understand what I'm saying? It'll stand alone.
Exactly. Yeah.
So he told his uncle to set it up. So his uncle set it up, and they went down to this bank. And when I say borrow some money, it was less than $100,000. I think it was $60,000 for this old building. So the normal loan guy, or the normal dude that this player had dealt with, wasn't there, or it was at the other bank or something. So they ended up with this young punk that said, I can make it happen or whatever. So they were sitting in this thing. They're going to do a close. I mean, you understand how a real estate close works.
Yeah.
So they're about to do this close at the bank. And for some reason, this banker had asked his uncle, what are you going to do with this building? And the uncle said, we haven't decided yet, but we'll figure something out. And that spooked the banker. You know how bankers will get spooked.
Yeah.
That spooked the banker, and he said, I don't think we're going to be able to close on this. And he said, why not? Well, because I need a good business plan. I mean, you just can't be buying real estate just to buy real estate. So the uncle leaned on the ball player, and ball player says, no, yeah, you can. Happens all the time. You know what I mean? What difference does it make? And,
they could tear it down. They could want to buy it to tear it down.
I'm thinking about it here, because I know a lot about this player. He was driving an S-Class S500 series Mercedes at the time. His Mercedes was probably about what that building cost.
No.
So he said, you're serious. You're balking at this. And he goes, yeah, we're going to have to push this off 30 days. And you guys are going to have to come back with a business plan before I loan you the money. And it embarrassed this ball player. And he said, are you sure about that? And the guy goes, yeah. He said, okay, that's fine. If that's the way it's going to be, that's the way it's going to be. And the guy goes, yeah, I don't know what you guys were used to before, but I'm running the bank, or I don't remember something. So they stood up, and the ball player walked over to the teller and said, I'm going to close my account, and I'll wait for the money. I'd rather have it. I really want to have it in cash. And she said, well, sir, that's $650,000 in just your checking and savings account, not to mention these other accounts, 401s or whatever. And he said, well, I'll take it. I'm closing my accounts. And she said, well, we don't have that much cash in the bank. We'll have to call a truck. And he said, well, I'll wait. She said, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He said, that's fine. She said, you're serious? Yeah. So, of course, she scurries in the back and tells her boss, who calls her boss, who, calls the main bank. And they send the loan officer that just told this dude to come back with a better plan. What just happened? They call him up. What the hell's going on? What's going on? And then they put, the ball player on the phone. He said, no, you were going to treat me like that. I can go to any bank. Don't matter to me, but you're not going to embarrass me in front of my uncle and people. You know what I mean? Money's irrelevant. It's the embarrassment treating me like that. So the dude from the big bank drove over there and said, no, we're going to go ahead and we're going to close on it, be able to close on this loan. And we're going to take care of that guy and do this and do that and do this and do that. And the ball player says, you don't have to go through all that trouble. Don't worry about it. And they said, no, this is what we want to do to keep your business, whatever. So they closed on the loan, and I don't think they fired that banker, but they did something to him, sent him home or whatever, and then smoothed it all over, right? And the ball player says, did you bring my money? And I thought we got it all over. He goes, we did. There's no hard feelings, just business. But I'll bring my business over Central anyway. It was a big man. Yeah, no, I'll just bring it over to Central. Sorry. So most bankers I know, and it's funny because my banker just moved banks this last 2 weeks, about a week and a half ago. He had a little article in the paper, that he moved, and he's a good banker because they're so few and they're hard to find, right? Yeah, because what happens is most bankers, in order to be a successful banker, they're nerdy money guys, and they're so used to saying no, right? No, 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 and they don't realize that risk. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
If
Yeah.
Henry Ford had to deal with a banker, we would be riding a horse still. You know what I mean?
Probably.
Because
Yeah.
yeah, because most bankers, especially modern day bankers, they don't they don't they don't have the wherewithal. They don't have the Most of them don't have the balls to stick with a customer, and the other ones don't. They're just nerdy bookkeepers that don't understand making money. I watched. There's a documentary. It might have been. Uh, uh, it wasn't a 30 by 30. It was an interview that Joe Buck did of Jerry Jones of the Dallas Cowboys, and Joe Buck said, because Jerry Jones, I guess, was a wildcatter. His daddy was a wildcatter, and
Yeah.
in the
That's how they
50s,
made their money. Yeah.
yeah, where they'd just go out and drill. They would bundle up some money and go buy rights to drill oil on somebody's property in Oklahoma or Texas or wherever, and hopefully it worked out. You know what I mean? And old Joe Buck says something to the effect of, "My gosh, how would you go? I mean, what kind of nerve that took? What kind of salesmanship did that take to go get somebody to give you some money like that, and basically go on the hook for you?" And old Jerry Jones, and I know you've seen a lot of Jerry Jones, he
Yeah.
smiles and says, "Joe, that wasn't the hard part. The hard part is getting the million, losing it, and going back and saying, this time it's going to work out." He said, that's what separates the good guys from the really good guys. Getting that second million.
That sounds like making a movie.
What's funny? When I was telling you that, that's exactly what I thought. That's exactly what I thought.
Oh man, and when you talk about
Hey,
good bank,
hold on a second.
okay.
We're not going to leave the movie thing there because
Oh,
some of this audience don't understand the common good that brought us together or whatever. And I'm going to tell a story on myself here. My co-host and producer here, Grover, he came hat in hand to try to get some money to make a movie that they were already making. And I had the money and I turned them down. And you guys got paid back, ain't you?
got paid back even before it came out
That's my
to the
whole
theater.
point. So that's right. So here I'm telling about these conservative bankers, and I'm the same way. I had the opportunity to be involved in a project and said no when it wouldn't have mattered. I mean, I wouldn't have lost 5 minutes worth of sleep for the amount of money he was asking for.
Hey,
So,
which by the way, our listening audience will be able to watch said movie. I think it's November 2nd. It'll Escape from Death Block 13 will be available on all streaming platforms. And at the end of November, you can actually go buy your own DVD.
I'm going to buy my copy at Walmart. I'm going to send it to you, and you're going to get me some autographs on there.
I will. And you know what else? You know what else I just found
that?
out on this November? If you can go on to Walmart.com right now, and this is a shameless plug. You can pre-order Death Block 13 on like Best Buy and stuff, but you can get the Eddie Montgomery album, of which I have. It's called let's see, in the description of the album, it's called the song. Oh gosh, the song of the project or whatever. The song that I wrote that he and Tanya Tucker are duetting. You can actually go. This is how bad it is. I had to go order my own copy. I don't even get a free copy of the album.
You wrote the song. But I seen a picture you posted on Instagram. You and Christy with Tanya. So you must have brought her down to Nashville and introduced her, or what?
No. That's an older picture from a concert that we were at with her after she did another song I wrote with David Allen Coe. So
that's right.
But yeah, I got on and ordered my own copy of album from Walmart, and that's also gets shipped out like so. On November 2nd, I got a movie and an album and a song on an album coming out.
There you go. I mean, that's and you said
How about that?
Walmart, my favorite place to go. Live better and save money and live better. Walmart, yeah.
And thank God for that friend of yours last episode had 10,000 shares of it. He kept it going.
That's right. That's right. I just go to Walmart every morning. I drop the kids off, see if they got any shells. But that's what kind of world it is down in the Ozarks. You worry about shotgun shells and the government coming taking your stuff. So,
well, hopefully everybody
horror movies and bullets. That's what we go to Walmart for.
Horror movies. Now that sounds like a country song. Horror movies and bullets.
No, I said horror, not horror movies. Horror with the ER.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the From the Shadows podcast. Until next time, never shy away from the darkness or what may be lurking in the shadows. We are out.